Okay.
Okay.
Well, my name is John Boorman, and I make movies.
Thank you. Um, how did you start your career?
Well, I started to write about films when I was very young, maybe 18. I was watching movies and looking at the history of movies, and I started to make. I was kind of a critic in a very amateur way,
Okay.
and then I eventually started to. I got a job as an assistant film editor, and then it was in television. For the BBC, I began to make documentaries, and I first of all edited them. Then I began to direct them and bring the film back and edit it. And I made many films, and I made lots of mistakes, which nobody noticed very much because these were very small films I was making initially. And then I made longer documentaries, and I was making documentaries about people, and I eventually, after many documentaries, I began to feel frustrated that I couldn't get close to enough to people, because so much of life takes place behind closed doors, particularly bedrooms, and I couldn't go in to their bedrooms. So I decided to start to use actors, and I began to mix actors and documentary. And these films got me, they were very successful, and I got a big reputation, and so I began to be asked to make movies. And so I started to make movies, and I've been making films now. If you include the documentaries, I've been making films for half a century, and I haven't finished yet.
You haven't finished yet. Tell me about your projects then.
Well, I'm planning a film about the Emperor Hadrian, based on the book by Margarita Yourcenar, The Memories of Hadrian.
So, I've read that you were, when you were young, you were living next to some huge studios. I can't
Yes,
remember the name.
I was as a child. I was a child during the Second World War, and in fact, I made a film about that, Hope and Glory, which is about my experiences at that time. And amongst those experiences was the destruction of our house. My family, we lost everything. The whole house was completely destroyed. And then we went to live with my grandfather on the Thames River at Shepperton. And there was also a film studio, a famous film studio at Shepperton. So there was always a film unit shooting locations on the river, and I began to become familiar with the people who were working there. And so somehow the atmosphere of filmmaking was always very close to me, and it seemed quite natural for me to follow that route, that path.
Okay. So it was natural, but was it also very simple, or did you have some times where you were wondering how to succeed, what to do? Or?
Well, when I started out, I didn't think of I didn't imagine I would be a director. I was very happy to be an editor, or to play some part in the making of films. It didn't really occur to me that I could reach this very heightened place and become a director. I thought I would take some part in making films, and my career just developed in a kind of organic way. Like I've said, one thing led to another, and I never made really any decisions. I just things just happened, and here we are.
great. Do you think you had luck as well, or no?
Well, I suppose I think I was lucky that when I was working for the BBC, there was a period of great expansion. For instance, the second channels opened up. It was supposed to be experimental, and I made some. I had the opportunity of making very avant-garde kind of films, which drew attention to me, and I suppose that was I was at the right place at the right time. And it's much more difficult now in the BBC. But at that time, I was given lots of resources, and I could make whatever I wanted. Now it's that situation doesn't exist anymore. So I was very fortunate at that time.
And then, what advice would you give to young people today who want to work in cinema? Not just work, but succeed in what they want to do.
Anybody, it's interesting that today, because of like the camera you're holding in your hand, makes it much easier to make a film than it used to be. It's easier to make a little film. What is much more difficult is to get that film distributed or seen by people, and even if you get to make a substantial movie, today it's still very, very difficult to get it distributed. So it's hard, but it's always been difficult. It's always been difficult because to make a film is expensive. It's not like if you're a painter or a writer, but film, you need money to make it, and that's always difficult to come by. Even today, after 50 years of filmmaking, I still find it very, very difficult to get the money to make the films that I want to make.
Still no. Okay. Well, thank you.